Welcome once again, my dear student here. Welcome to tendering and estimating for quantity surveyors and contractors. So, for unpriced bills usually sent out to prospective contractors, they shall attract a form of tender. Now, a form of tender will express the sum of money for which the contractor is willing to undertake the job. Uh, this sum will come at a particular range of values where the consultant will, quantity surveyor will actually compare the values and look at the most economic sum which falls within the project plan of cost, and they will be awarded the contract. Now, the different contractors will arrive at this sum of money through a process called estimation. Estimation is both a science and an art, as we shall see. So when we are looking at estimation, estimation will break down the project into work packages, and these work packages will attract resources to be in order to be executed in order to be executed to be executed. So the cost of this so the cost of these resources, okay, um makes part of the price of the work. Let's look at components of the price. Component Components of the price of a work package in construction. So the price of work package involves one, the price of resources. Now the resources are divided into three. We have materials, we have labor, and plant. Then followed by two, the contractor's overhead. This is usually arrived at by looking at the costs of running the project at the quarters and towards the site operation. So this is usually a percentage uh, which we may look at as a contribution of a project if a contractor is running several other projects or other projects. Then we look at also the profit aspect. Since this is a business entity, we look at the profit. So the price entails the price of the cost of resources, sorry, cost of resources, contractors overhead, and profit. So this is what makes the price of a work package in construction. Yeah. So with that said, we should look at when we look at resources, I want to dive deeper and we look at the cost of resources. Cost of resources. So majorly, one of the major resources is labor. So labor comes in two categories. So labor comes in two categories. It comes as skilled labor and unskilled labor. Unskilled labor, or okay, we could say it is semi-skilled. We could package it as semi-skilled labor. Semi-skilled labor. These are usually tradesmen, semi-skilled labor. So now, for when we look at the cost of labor, we are looking at exactly how much does it cost, how much does it cost to employ the operative on site per hour, and also looking at how long in terms of time, how long will it take for the operative to complete one unit of a building operation. So when we look at this second aspect, how long it takes for a labor operative to complete one unit of operation, this takes us to a concept of productivity. Productivity. Productivity or production rates. So this of course of labor. So this will require the estimator's past experience on previous projects, and as we know that productivity or production rates varies according to the operation characteristics. How a certain maybe a certain group of people work may differ, and so you may find some, of course this is just bias, but some tribes or some group of people may be considered to be more hardworking than others, and so you may find they vary in terms of the production rates. And so that said, I want us to dive deeper and carry out an all-in labor rate calculation. What makes up the cost of labor? And usually we take it per hour. Then this second other functionality, then we can tell if we can be able to look at what is the cost of employing labor per hour, and then we'll know how much can labor deliver, how much can that unit of labor deliver per hour. Then we can equate this and know that we are actually spending this amount on labor to achieve this unit of work per hour that is produced in per hour. So let's look at deep and carry out an all-in culture, all-in labor rate, all-in labor rate, and all-in labor rate calculation. So what are the components of this? So one, we have direct costs, which involve, say, wages and other costs are paid to the operative. The operative, I mean the worker. Two, I want to look at their statutory requirements, laws which determine how much we are supposed to pay the worker, statutory costs. Of course, these are indirect costs, whereas what we looked at first are direct costs. Indirect costs associated as a consequence of employing labor. And when we look at direct costs, when we look at direct costs, when we look at direct costs in the first place, when we look at the direct costs, so when we look at the direct costs of labor, and we look at, say, for example, wages. When we talk about wages, we look at what is paid, say, weekly, and in a week, we could look at establish maybe a typical day, working day comprises 8 hours. 8 hours. So you may look at what is paid in a week, which is 8 times 5, Monday to Friday, okay, of hours paid to labor. Okay. And when we look at the elements of minimum weekly earnings, the elements of this weekly earnings, we have the basic weekly rate, this is a ruling rate, or the market rates. The market rate, you will basically go out and find out how much someone is willing to work for, go for a particular task. And then we have what we call guaranteed minimum bonus. Guaranteed minimum bonus. This comes in as a statutory requirement, GMB. And then, so let's say, for example, if we say the basic weekly rate, is set at 88.33 and a half euros. Okay, that is for skilled labor. And then semi-skilled is set at 75.27 euros. Okay, so if we award the guaranteed minimum bonus of 14.04 for skilled, and 11.89 for semi-skilled, we can be able to get weekly earnings. We can be able to get total weekly earnings for skilled and semi-skilled. Okay, so that is a sum of those two. Okay, so another constituent of labor cost is overtime. So workers are entitled to payment. They're entitled to payment beyond the normal working hours. Payment for work done beyond the normal working hours. Okay, so if a typical working day is 7 hours, any work that is done after 8 hours, they're entitled to a pay. And usually you find, say, if we define the days, if we arrive at, say, daily wage, you will find will be equal to, overtime will be valued at, daily wage. Say, if we say daily wage and we divide by, say, 8 hours to get the rate per hour, okay, then we can get the overtime. Usually it is compensating them and motivating them for to actually keep going, because it is past their normal day. So times, the hourly rate will basically go for times 1.5 or 1.5, okay, for the first 3 hours. So this can actually be in shift, maybe say first 3 hours, say from after the 8 hours, they are going to be paid, 1.5, the hours, rate, normal rate for the day. Then after that, maybe you may find you may have to get the day, the hours times maybe 3, because you're burning extra oil from them. So that is it. Then this will also apply. This applies to other days, okay? This applies, to non-working days where workers show up, where workers are requested to show up, said to show up for work, say Saturdays, and Sundays. So when you're exiting a project, you will be asked to give a work program, and this work program will be hinged on your project calendar, and the project calendar will say out the working days. So if you're saying they are working from Monday to Friday, and the task shows up that is very urgent, say casting of the slab that must be done, which started on Friday and must go straight through all the way to Saturday and Sunday, the days which will, this days Saturday and Sunday, will be considered at a rate of overtime, probably at times 1.5 hour rate, or times 3, depending. Yeah, so that is it. Then, we have other statutory requirements like non-productive time guaranteed, non-productive time, non-productive time guaranteed week. So sometimes workers will show up and it's a problem of the contractor that materials are not on site, or of weather, or they have to take breaks, they have to have lunch breaks. So all that, they deserve, they deserve to their wage. So we have the non-productive time guaranteed week payments and things like that. So when, we talk about the guaranteed minimum bonus, this is issued where the operative earns more than the minimum GMB, okay, and, it is not, so where the operative earns more than the minimum guaranteed minimum bonus, it is not paid to him. It is not paid to him in addition. So to understand this, we are saying, when we say guaranteed minimum bonus, this is to protect workers against earning less a particular amount. So when where the operative earns more than the minimum guaranteed bonus, you're not going to add him this guaranteed minimum bonus. Okay. So guaranteed minimum bonus only counts when the operative is on site. Okay, is on site. Yeah. So that is it. So we can also give work as traveling allowances. Okay, traveling allowances, and this would involve fare allowance for their transport and travel time, and so the traveling allowance is a function of fare allowance then plus the travel time. When the worker is traveling, their time should be paid. So that is it. So let's look at the calculation, the actual calculation for of the all-in labor rate for labor. So one, let's look at the skilled operative. So this calculation is divided. This is divided into separate calculations. One, determining the total number of productive time or hours worked on average in 1 year, okay, by an operative on site. An operative on site. Then another part is the cost to the contractor of obtaining that number of productive hours per year. Okay, let's look at the first part. The first part, which is the total number of productive hours worked per year. So one, the standard number of hours per year is equal to 52 weeks. Okay, so the 52 weeks times 39 working hours per week, we have 228 hours. Okay, so on this we are going to add, say, overtime. Now this will depend on what days overtime has been worked. Say if we assume, say, 1 hour per day, assume 1 hour per day of overtime is worked. So you continue this 1 hour per day, you multiply by we have 52 weeks times the 5 working days times 1 hour per day. Okay, you have those hours, so you can add and have the total number of hours worked in a year. All right, yeah, so that is it. That is the first part. Okay, then we shall be able to run how I'm going to be able to show you how we can run through this on an Excel sheet. Yeah, so look at this. So we are saying that I have two parts here: all-in rate calculation for skilled and unskilled. So for skilled, all-in rate labor calculation for skilled. Total number of productive hours worked per year. We have standard number of hours worked, 52 weeks, weeks with 39 hours each. So the total number of hours worked is that. So we are going to assume overtime, same, and it may vary from week to week. But if we assume 1 hour per day is worked, Monday, Thursday plus Saturday morning up to 12 noon for 30 weeks, we shall get the total overtime of work, which is that. Okay. Then we deduct holidays. Okay, the when we have holidays, workers are not going to work. So annual holidays, I'm assuming we have 18 days with 8 hours per day, and that is the total number of hours lost in holidays. We add more these 18, we have 3 more holidays, annual holidays. Then we have public holidays, and all of them taking up to 48, then plus 14 more hours. So we find out that to get the total the total number of the total number of hours in lost into holidays, we actually have 227 hours lost into holidays. Then non-productive time, allow lost time due to bad weather and other stoppages. Say on average 1 hour number of days worked on site in 1 year, we have 260 days. So we shall take away the holidays and sick leaves and all that. Then we shall have overtime as well, so which gives us 226 hours. So sick periods, allow 5 days for each employee when they are sick, so that gives us 39 hours. And then we proceed and look at the summary now. So the summary for number of hours uh, per year plus overtime, it is 2,268, okay, which is the sum of these two, okay. Then we have non-productive time, which is we deduct holidays, non-productive time, and sick period, which gives us 1,776. So the cost of obtaining these hours, we shall now look at the calculation for the cost for getting these hours from a worker. So one, the number of working weeks is 44. So the rate per week is we are assuming that if we are giving 35,000 times 5, that gives us 175,000 for a skilled worker. If we are paying, say, an engineer or foreman 35,000 per day or per 8 hours. In other words, you see, in 35, we are paying him 35,000 divided by 8. That's in, like, we're paying them 4,375 per hour for supervising the works. So the annual cost will be equal to 7,770. So this is Uganda currency. This is Uganda currency. Never mind wherever you're watching the video, Uganda currency. So overtime rate, we said they are going to have 3,000 if you get if you add overtime 3,000 per hour, we are going to have annual overtime in terms of that. Then total allowances, say weekly allowances 45,000. So annual, we get to arrive at the annual allowance as that. Sick leaves, if we allow 20,000 a daily sick allowance wage or allowance for 2,000, 20,000 actually for every sick day, the annual sick allowance will cost us 100,000. Public holidays with pay, we award that. So the subtotal, we have all that, which we have one we have one we have let me insert commas, format cells. Yeah, we have 11,581,000, yeah. Then Insurance, national insurance contribution, that's a statutory requirement. Okay, then add any associated taxes. Then we are able to have redundant pay, say that, yeah. So the total cost per year, we are going to have to be spending this amount on the worker. So if we convert this into hours, we are going to have uh, we shall be paying skilled labor 8,466 per hour. That is for a skilled worker, say foreman. So when we run the same calculation for unskilled labor, same formula and same process. So you go through the same, and you find out that for employing a helper, mason, we shall be paying them 4,841 shillings per hour. Yeah, so that's how we carry out an all-in rate calculation for labor, and throughout other work packages, as we estimate wherever we are employing a skilled worker, we are going to use 8,466 as their rate per hour. And if we have maybe 4 3 skilled workers in an operational work, we shall have as many as multiplied by that cost, and the same applies here in gangs. If we have if we have a gang configuration of 3 unskilled workers working together, we shall have a cost of this time 3 in an operation. So that is it. So we can stretch this to look at also how we can estimate for plant for plant. So usually for plant, we have plant requirements. So machines, okay, conditions from work program. So we get this from the work program because we know we are going to be casting for 2 weeks. We are going to do so. We're going to be carrying out this operation, and it requires this particular machine. So you will get that. For example, you see, according to my programming, if I have to cast this volume for this lab, I need two number of 1410 concrete mixers. 1410 is the production rate for the concrete mixers needed for 8 weeks. Three number poker vibrators, two number power floats required for 2 weeks. So the common mechanical plant required on site, you have to know what are usually the plant you will need to hire. You may need a mixing plant, dampers, compressors, and tools, hosting and lifting equipment, rollers, and portable saw, these cutters, lorries and vans, wheel truck, excavators, bumps and hoses. So all those machines you may need. So one, we have the normal conditions for hiring the mechanical plant. The main features of hiring, you may do hire period, working period, time sheets, especially for the excavator and crews. You'll have to keep records, site conditions, operation of the plant, breakdowns, and notes of termination. So these are the normal. So now let's look at what is involved. One, you have to consider transportation. So if you are to hire, for example, mixer, you have to consider the return. You are bringing it site, then after you will take it back. So assume 2 return journeys are needed for transporting and the mixer and vibrators. Assume 1 return journey for transporting the power floats. So when you look at that, mixers and vibrators, you are going to load them, say, from head office, and you bring them maybe at your project, which is up country or wherever. You load the plant at yard, and you need maybe 1 hour. We will need 1 hour, but when you're having 4 laborers working, remember our rate for unskilled or semi-skilled workers. So you're going to be spending that rate times 4, the workers that you're going, the hours that you need from, so labor hours of unskilled. Then from there, you need a lorry and a driver. So 45,000 per hour. You need travel time traveling to site, 1 hour for a lorry and a driver, same amount of money. So unloading when it reaches site, you need 30 minutes labor hours for 4 labors, which comes to this. Okay. Then you need a half hour for lorry drivers. Okay. for lorry and the driver when they have to go back, returning to yard and all that. So allow for bring plant from site on completion of work set 2 times 2 journeys. Okay. Yeah, so basically you do the same for different plant and you'll come up with a total. Now, the sum you get here is usually carried to the to the to the to the preliminaries. We have preliminaries now. The cost of plant can be embedded on each unit of work package, but for bigger plant like tower cranes, like lifting equipment, like generators and all that, we can estimate them here, and they form part of the provisional sum that will be required for plant and machinery. So that is it about uh, rate analysis for resources for plant, labor, and machinery. When we meet again, we shall be able to build up rate for different work packages. Thank you very much for joining me. This is Ruhanga Twine Methodius. I'm a quantity surveyor from Uganda. Thank you for choosing this channel where we can share knowledge. Let me know what you think about this. I'll be able to share these templates. If you like them, just email me at ruhangat@gmail.com in my bio. Thank you very much. Take care. Bye.